A picture, they say, says a million words. It captures moments, encompassing emotions and also revealing the situation. Now here is one such image. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, this photograph freezes one such moment where he appears to be all alone in a crowd. He's seemingly lost in his thoughts, he's pondering on what the future holds for him. He arrived in Vilnius with an audacious demand. Around him are the leaders of Europe and the United States. Zelensky wanted the shield of NATO, something which he hoped would actually ease all of his pain. But the message from the 31-nation bloc was pretty clear. The NATO member states have said that they will continue to arm the Ukrainians, they will provide for all the arms and ammunition, but it is Ukraine's war and Ukraine will have to fight it alone. But as the second day of the summit unfolded in the Lithuanian capital, the Western leaders huddled to provide assurances to Zelensky. They all sang the same tune of a much better, more strengthened cooperation with Ukraine. Listen in.
I'm just to chair the inaugural meeting of the NATO-Ukraine Council. From now on, NATO and Ukraine will meet in the Council to discuss and decide as equals. This is a significant step to move Ukraine closer to NATO.
Today, the members of the G7 are launching a joint declaration of support for Ukraine to make it clear that our support will last long into the future.
So as Ukraine remains stuck in a never-ending journey towards a membership in the alliance, Zelensky seems to have no choice but to accept as to what has been offered to him.
Ukraine cannot be a member of NATO while there is a war, and this is absolutely clear.
Over 500 days of war in Ukraine, and there is a prize on offer at the end of this very costly affair. But what price will Ukraine have to pay for its NATO membership is something that still remains to be seen. Tatiana Kukreva, who's a senior journalist, she's joining us live from Moscow. This is something which the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been lobbying for a very long time. And every single time has been given some loud assurances that the NATO nations stand with Ukraine, but there is no roadmap to become a part of the NATO military alliance.
Well, indeed, you're absolutely correct. I'd have to bring you back to even before the conflict. You know, there was the same story with the EU membership that actually started this whole situation that we find ourselves in. You know, in 2013, when the then president of Ukraine refused to sign the European integration agreement that would de facto bankrupt the country. And in the meantime, you know, the public took it very harshly, the nationalists that then began the whole of the madness that Maidan was, and which led then to the coup d'etat. It was the same story. You know, Europe was always talking about kind of accepting Ukraine, but not really. And it's the same story with NATO. What that actually Russia has been talking about for years now. We know it. Ukraine cannot be accepted when it has a war in its territory.
Right.
And there's a very interesting comment that Rishi Sunak made today as well, when he was asked about the comment that Ben Wallace made, that Ukraine needs to show gratitude. And Mr. Sunak actually said that Volodymyr Zelensky has shown gratitude for our leadership and support, meaning exactly that. The Western powers are finally admitting that it's their leadership that brought us to this whole situation.
Ukraine hasn't got a roadmap for a NATO membership bid, but what it has got is a NATO-Ukraine Council. What difference do you think this NATO-Ukraine Council will make?
I think it will make absolutely no difference at all. Be that as it may, they do have a council now. They didn't have it before, but that didn't stop NATO countries from meddling in this whole situation from the very beginning. You know, again, 2014, we saw the Polish representatives there. We saw Victoria Nuland back in the day, handing out cookies. And I know we keep talking about these images, but that was very clear from the very beginning just how much NATO states, especially the US, is involved in this conflict. And just giving it an official kind of representation does not change the fact that this was an orchestrated affair from the very beginning.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Tatiana Kukreva, for joining us from Moscow and getting us all those insights there.